All right, so yesterday we covered the difference between ratio and proportion. You can tell us in their own words, what's the difference between a ratio and a proportion? What do we got?
Ratio is like a division problem. You have two numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and then a proportion is equation.
And a proportion is going to have the equation. It's going to have the equal sign, and it's going to have a ratio on each side. How do you solve a proportion?
Cross product.
Cross product. You do the cross product property, or you cross multiply, however you want to call it. Okay, so today we're going to focus on the ratio part. And the most famous ratio that you're going to see from like an algebra perspective is slope. So we're going to write a ratio expressing slope. And if you guys remember slope-intercept form, the number that usually goes in for m is the slope, is usually a what? A fraction, right? Usually your rise over your run. So if it's a positive number, what is your line going to look like? Going up from left to right. If it's a negative number, it's going down from left to right. If it's zero, it's flat. It's like you're driving through the desert, right? What if it's undefined or there's no slope? It's your vertical line, okay? So I'm going to give you guys 2 points. We're going to call point A is at -1,3, and point B is at 2, -2. Now, when you're given 2 points and you're asked to find the slope, there's really 2 ways to do it, right? There's a formula. We'll see who knows it in just a second. And the other way is you can graph it. You have a piece of graph paper, you have a coordinate plane, you can graph those 2 points, and then you will simply count what the slope is. Right? So if you ever have a piece of graph paper available and you're a visual learner, graph them, count it. Easy, right? So let's do the formula first. Anybody know the formula for slope? Starts with m equals. I hear it over there. What is it, Lacey? Perfect. Good job, Lacey. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? So that's 4 spots where you're going to plug in numbers. Well, I just gave you 4 numbers, right? So you just need to plug them in the right spot. If it helps, label them x1 and y1. Label them x2 and y2. Because what happens if you plug them in the wrong spot? You're going to mess it up. Okay. So y2 is -2 minus y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is -1. So you can see here, the only way you would mess this up is if you didn't know your pre-algebra rules, right? How to deal with adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, okay? There is a way to make the calculator do it for you. If you need help doing that, let me know. I can teach you how to type it in the calculator and always get it correct if you have trouble with that. But basically, you're going to have -2 plus -3 if you switch. So that gives you -5 in your numerator. And then for the denominator, when you subtract a negative, change it to plus. So 2 plus 1 is 3. That means your slope is -5/3. All right, that was the first way. We used the formula, we plugged in our 4 numbers, and we got our slope. Second way, we're going to graph it. So I'm going to draw a coordinate plane, and on your paper you can just sketch it. Here's your x-axis. Here's your y-axis. And we're going to graph these 2 points. A is at -1,3. That means you're going to go 1 to the left and up 1, 2, 3, put a point. Label it A. Your second point, B, is at 2, -2. That means you're going to go 2 to the right, down 1, 2, put a point, label it B. Okay? So is our slope going to be positive or negative? Negative because it's going to go down from left to right. So I'm going to count how many units I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we went down 5 over here. And then I'm going to count how many I go to the right. 1, 2, 3. That means our slope is negative 5/3. Guess what? These two answers are the same. So we just did the same problem. The first way, we did it algebraically. We used the formula. We plugged in the numbers. And then the second way, we did it graphically. We plotted the points, and we simply counted how that slope should turn out. Okay? Which way are you going to do it? Whichever way you prefer. Okay? Sometimes if you don't have a piece of graph paper available, you can ask me for one, or you can just sketch it, or do it algebraically. Okay? All right, another type of problem you're going to see, we'll call this example number 2. I'm going to give you a weird equation like 18C equals 24D, and we need to find a ratio D to C in simplest form. Whoop, move that up. Okay. So if it uses the word ratio, you have to go back to yesterday. Ratios can usually be written in easiest way would be as a fraction, like D to C, or you can write it as D with the word TO to C, or you can put the colon in the middle. Which way are we going to do it? We're going to do it this way. Okay, we're going to write it as a fraction, which right now it is not. Notice it's 18C equals 24D. So we're going to recopy the equation 18C equals 24D. And basically, we want to get the D in the numerator and the C in the denominator. So if I look at where the D is at over here, it's already in the numerator, right? And the easiest way to get the C in the denominator is to divide both sides by C. The C's will cancel over here, and over here you can't simplify the D over C because they're not like terms. So we have 24D over C equals 18. But I want the D by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by 24, so I'm going to divide by 24 on both sides. 24's cancel over here, and now I magically have D to C equals 18 to 24, which if this was reduced, I would write it as my final answer. But is there a GCF, or a greatest common factor, for 18 and for 24?
6.
6. 6 goes into 18 how many times? And 6 goes into 24 how many times? 4. So this is actually 3/4. All right. We have one more problem. Example number 3. I'm going to move this up. You'll see it in just a second. There it is. All right. Example number 3. You're going to be asked to find the ratio of a triangle that has a perimeter of 96 centimeters. Okay? And then it's going to tell you that it has a ratio of 4 to 7 to 5. Why does it have 3 numbers instead of only 2? because it's a triangle, right? It's going to have 3 sides. That means one of the sides is in the ratio of 4, one of the sides is in the ratio of 7, and one of the sides is in the ratio of 5. Because if you just took 4 plus 7 plus 5, would you get 96? No. This does not work, right? So how do you do it? You're going to write each of them as a factor of each. So instead of just saying 4 plus 7 plus 5, you're going to say 4x plus 7x plus 5x equals 96. That means they're each being multiplied by the same thing in order to get to 96. So we're going to figure out what they're all being multiplied by, okay? So since we use the same variable in all of them, they're all like terms, right? So we can just add up these 3 like terms. 4x plus 7x plus 5x is how many x's? 16. And then the inverse operation of multiplying by 16 is? Divide by 16. And so the ratio, what we're multiplying all of them by, is 6. Okay? What if they ask you, what is the shortest side? Which of these 3 numbers would you use?
4.
The 4. So you'd say 4 times 6. So the shortest side would be 24 centimeters. Or the longest side, you would take the 7 and multiply it by 6. So you'd get what? 42. Or the medianist side, if that's a word. All right? Finish copying that down, and then let's look at your worksheet.